What's up, guys? Welcome back to Modern Mining. Today, I wanted to talk about common used GPU scams, whether you're buying or selling used GPUs. Red Panda Mining recently put up a poll on how many people had been scammed by various crypto scams, and I had replied to that and said that I haven't been crypto scammed and I don't plan on being, but I have been used GPU scammed as a buyer and as a seller. So we'll go over some of my experiences, the common scams to watch out for, and at the end, I'll show you what I recommend to buy used GPUs totally safe. So let's get into it. All right, up first, we'll talk about scams when you yourself are buying used GPUs. That's probably the more common scam and what probably applies to the audience of this channel a little bit more because you guys are going out buying used GPUs to try to get them for mining. So the first one is on eBay, and this scam is not super severe, but it is pretty common. Let's say you're searching for 3060 Ti, a used 3060 Ti, and you find one that's just priced too good to be true. And if you sort by lowest price first, it's popping up before all the other listings. I've got one here. It's not the best example. I'm wondering if eBay has almost kind of cracked down on this because I didn't see a bunch of flagrant scams like I normally do. But right here, we have this Dell 3060 Ti, which is cheaper than a lot of the competition. And you see this guy who's got 0% reviews. And normally this scam is going to be a 0 right here, 0 items sold. But what this is they're going to get your payment for the GPU, and then you're never going to hear from them again. They're never going to ship the product. Now, the reason I said this scam is not super severe is because normally after a few days, if you haven't gotten tracking information from the buyer, you can just message eBay and get your money back, and you're not out any money. I'm not even really sure what the scammers benefit from this. Maybe they're hoping you wait long enough to contact eBay to the point where they've gotten their money and then they just cancel their PayPal account or something and run with the money. But main thing to look out for here is always make sure you're buying graphics cards on eBay that have reviews and multiple items sold by that person. So if it looks too good to be true, it probably is, especially if the person has no selling history. Moving on to a much more common scam, and one that has actually gotten me in the past back in 2021 when I was buying GPUs for the Ethereum mining days, is Facebook Marketplace getting GPUs shipped to you from people who are outside of your area. So if you're looking through Facebook Marketplace on listings that are outside of my range, there's a separate category for that. Sometimes you'll see another similar to the eBay situation, a price that's just too good to be true. So right here, I mean, we've got a 4090 from Chicago for $850 and another one for $725. Let's click on this 850 one and see how you can identify that this is a scam. First thing that you always want to look at is it a real profile? And this person at least has like an actual picture here, but join Facebook in 2024. Who do you know that is only joining Facebook in 2024 unless it's like a little kid? Not many people. So this account, I can tell you right now, is obviously fake. And this listing is also fake because what they're going to do is they're going to offer to ship it. And they're going to say, I'll accept payment through Cash App or Venmo, or I'm trying to think of some of the other ones. Those are the main two. Sometimes Zelle. I don't remember if Zelle you can request your money back or not, but I definitely know that Venmo and Cash App are the scammer's best friends. So what they're going to do is they'll say, yep, pay me the $850 and I'll ship your GPU. And you pay them Cash App or Venmo $850, and then they immediately block you and you never hear from them again. And Cash App and Venmo do not have any purchase protection. So you have no hopes of getting your money back and you'll never hear from that person again. Another way to obviously tell these scams is that the pictures are generally super low quality because they don't have the actual GPU on hand to take pictures of. And I guess they just can't get high quality pictures off the internet. We're not really dealing with the smartest people here, guys. But this one got me back in 2021. I bought like a 3060 Ti or something for $250 from a guy in Atlanta, and I paid him on Cash App, and I never heard from him again. So that $250 was gone to the wind. I was a little petty, and I did message all his friends on Facebook saying that he was a scammer, but hey, I'm over it now. It's $250. There's a lot worse scam that happened to me that is going to come up later in this video. The last scam I want to talk about as a buyer, and this is actually in regards to local pickup, is basically switching out two graphics cards that look the exact same. And this one happened to me, but I was actually able to catch it before I left and had given the guy the money. So I wouldn't recommend buying RX 580s this day and age anyway, but you'll notice that the RX 580 4GB and the RX 580 8GB, they look the exact same. So what happened to me was I agreed to meet a guy to buy an 8GB card to mine Ethereum on, and he handed me a 4GB card, and I just happened to check the sticker on it and noticed that it was 4GB, and I didn't give him the money, and I ended up leaving. And I'm not even sure if that guy did it on purpose. He may have just listed it wrong, but obviously if you're buying a GPU locally, inspect for damage, make sure you're checking the label on the card to make sure it's the actual one that you want. And also make sure that the warranty sticker, like if you're going to repad the GPU to unscrew, make sure that's intact. And if it's not, just get confirmation from them that they did repaste the card. That's not necessarily the end of the world, but that's something you want to check. And I prefer to get them with the warranty sticker intact. Let's move on to scams where you're selling a used GPUs and how can the buyer scam you. And this is honestly just as big of a problem. And it really, the whole scamming culture is really just crazy to me, that it just seems like law enforcement just does not care about online scams at all. So it's up to us to educate ourselves and kind of prepare ourselves against these kind of things, because if it does happen to you, there's basically no recourse. And one of the scams I'm going to talk about up next, I ended up losing over $1,000 on, so pay attention. So if you're selling a GPU on eBay, a used GPU, first of all, I just wouldn't even recommend doing it if it's so much money that it's going to hurt if you lose it. If you've got like a 3090 you want to sell, I would really try to find someone locally to buy it with cash, because anything can go wrong on eBay. And that's actually what ended up happening to me. So I used to have a 3090 and I sold it on eBay to a guy. My first mistake was that the guy who bought it only had like 3 or 4 reviews as a buyer. That's a little bit of a red flag. You'd obviously want someone who has like maybe 100 reviews as a buyer. But what ended up happening was I shipped this guy this card, and I didn't film myself putting it in the box or anything like that. I just shipped it like normal. And when the package arrived to him, I messaged him and said, "Hey, have you got the card? How's it going?" And he said, "Yep, I'm on my way home. I'll film myself opening it." And I immediately thought, that's a little suspect that he's telling me that he's going to film himself opening it. And what ended up happening was he filmed himself opening the box and pulling out like 2 RX 580 cards instead of the 3090 that I had shipped. So my thoughts on what he did is he just like cut open the bottom of the box, took the 3090 out, replaced it with these 2 junk 580 cards, sealed it back up, and then started the video and filmed himself opening it from the top and pulling out these junk graphics cards. But obviously he then started a claim with eBay saying that I shipped the wrong cards and that he'd like to return them and get his money back. And obviously I'm saying, I don't want to get these 2 junk 580s back. I shipped you a $1,200 3090, and now all I'm going to get back is junk and have to give this guy his money back. So that sucked. I lost like about $1,000. And how I know this guy was a scammer is I basically told him like, "Hey, if I give you back all the money besides $500, then don't even worry about shipping that back." And he agreed to that. So obviously, if you were actually scammed, you're not going to agree to give the person who scammed you $500. But thankfully, that made it a little less worse, but I still lost about $1,000 on that. So Moral of the story, do not sell super expensive items on eBay. And if you do, always have in the back of your mind that you could potentially get scammed and lose the card and the money. Some things I could have done better in that situation was film myself packaging it up. Another thing that was bad is I didn't actually weigh the package. I just put a random weight in, so eBay couldn't verify the weight or anything like that. So obviously you want to make sure you go the proper method of getting it weighed. I just dropped this one off at Walgreens, not actually FedEx itself, so that was part of it. But really just don't sell expensive items on eBay. The last scam I want to talk about is if you're selling GPUs to people on Facebook Marketplace and you're shipping them through PayPal. You may not know, but purchase protection for PayPal lasts 6 months. So for example, what I have on screen right here is a graphics card that I just bought from a guy on Facebook Marketplace that he shipped through PayPal Goods and Services. And I got this card on like April 2nd. And you can see that if there's a problem, make sure to contact the seller through PayPal by September 24th, 2024. So if this card breaks 6 months from now, I can still get all my money back from this guy who sold me this card and then ship him back a broken GPU. So it's hard because if we're buying GPUs, we want to go through PayPal Goods and Services because we have that recourse if they don't ship it to you or if they ship you something wrong. But as a seller, we don't want to go through PayPal Goods and Services because they can claim a warranty on your card for 6 months later. And this has also happened to me. I sold a guy what was it? I think I sold a guy a 2060. And like 4 months later, it broke on him, and he basically sent me back the broken GPU, and I had to give him all his money back after 4 months of him using this card. Hell, he could have spilled water on it, and I would have had no idea, basically, and no recourse because PayPal is almost always going to side with the buyer in these situations. So that's the last one. Really, the moral of the story is try to sell any GPUs locally with cash, and that way you're totally protected and there's no way they're going to be able to come back to you in 6 months and try to get their money back. But now let's talk about what I recommend doing to buy GPUs, because there's there's 3 safe ways to buy used GPUs, and let's get into it. For buying used GPUs, my recommendations: number 1, buy locally with cash, especially if you can actually see them plug in the GPU and make sure that it's working. The next best thing would be for them to take a video of it working before they bring it to you to sell. And that way, you know it works and there's no scams that can happen because they're just giving you the GPU and you're giving them cash. Number 2, if you're going to get an item shipped off Facebook Marketplace, make sure it's not a scam like I mentioned earlier, but also only pay through PayPal Goods and Services. Not family and friends, not Venmo, not Cash App. PayPal Goods and Services has buyer protection, and if they send you the wrong card, you can get all your money back. If the card's broken when you get it, you can get all your money back. And like I just showed, that it lasts for 6 months. But if it works when you get it, don't file a claim with someone after 3 months. That's just kind of scummy unless it's like a brand new card or something. But so PayPal Goods and Services for shipped on Facebook. And lastly, buy on eBay from reputable sellers. eBay also has purchase protection, so if they send you a rock in the box, you're going to get your money back. If they send you a broken card, you're going to get your money back. So those are the main 3 options to not get scammed buying used GPUs. Hope you guys like this video. Let me know if you got any more questions. I set up a Super Peer account down below in the description. So if you want to schedule some one-on-one time with me for GPU questions or questions about setting up your mining farm, intake and exhaust systems, check out that link. We can schedule some time together and go through some of those questions. But other than that, see you guys next time. Peace.